back, folks, to the WP-Tonic Wednesday show. This is episode 283, and we got a great guest with us this week. It's Judi Knight, the founder and chief of Newtricks web design of Atlanta. Hello, Judi.
Hi, how are you?
Yes. Would you like to do a quick intro to the listeners and viewers?
Sure. I am the founder of Newtricks Academy and Newtricks.com. We're a small agency in Atlanta. I've got 4 people that work with us. I like to keep it small because I like to do the work. And I'm also very active in the WordPress community and have been from the start here in Atlanta and all over the country. And I'm just really happy to be here today with you and Kim.
Oh, thank you so much, Judi. And I got my co-host, Kim. Like to introduce yourself quickly, Kim?
Absolutely. I'm Kim Shivler. I'm a communications strategist and instructional design consultant and part-time helping out here as the co-host on WP-Tonic podcast.
Yeah, she keeps me under control, folks. I'm the founder of WP-Tonic. We're a WordPress maintenance support company with a specialization in membership and learning management systems development and support. And before we go into the interview, I just want to quickly mention our major sponsor, which is Kinsta Hosting. I host the WP-Tonic website on Kinsta and some of our clients' websites. And they're big enough to have all the bells and whistles like staging site, continuous backup, great technical support, but they're not too big, so they don't care anymore. They're still a reasonably boutique size hosting WordPress specialist hosting provider. And I've just been blown away by their support and their commitment to WordPress. So if you're looking for a really quality hosting experience at a very reasonable price, go to Kinsta. You can also go to the WP-Tonic website. There will be links in the show notes and on the website, banners to Kinsta. They are affiliate links, and if you use one of those for yourself or for a client, you will be supporting this podcast. So, Judi, thanks so much for coming on to the website. So you've been really big in the WordPress community in Atlanta for quite a while, and you've seen a little bit of a problem, a continuous problem with people joining the meetups and the activities in Atlanta around WordPress. Would you like to tell the listeners what you've generally observed?
Well, people fall in love with WordPress and they want to do this for a living. They think either they're already in the field or they have a second career, but they love to do it, and they start out and then they find out it's a lot harder to do it right than they thought it was. And like learning any new skill, there's a part where you're really excited, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm making $3 an hour and I have no idea how to get from where I am now to competent. And if you were learning to play the violin, you'd go get a violin teacher. But there's not even meetups and WordCamps don't provide the level of training that you need to. I call it the Bermuda Triangle of web designer hell, where you're in that place where you know how far you have to go, but you don't even know what you don't know. So it's hard to get better. And so I started a course to deal with that when I realized that it's way more than finding a perfect theme. It's like there's 7 competency areas, if not more, that you have to have a foundation in, and people weren't having a foundation across all of those.
So are you talking about a power user, or are you talking about somebody that's looking to become using WordPress as a way of becoming a front-end developer, or is it all those type of kind of people?
It's mostly my particular passion is working with people that are already working with clients. They've decided they're doing this and they're already working with clients, but they don't have the breadth of information that they need to do to know to do it right. Things like you find people out there that have an HTML site and they're converting it to a WordPress site and they don't do 301 redirects, and the client loses all of their 10 years of SEO. You know, those kinds of things. Or they make a really pretty site, but it's not effective because it doesn't follow the brand story and have calls to action and speak to a particular niche. And so, you know, across these 7 kind of competency areas, there's a lot of different ways people can screw up, basically. And, you know, it's different for different people, but it's people that are out there that are already trying to be a web designer.
Well, it's a very broad title. What is a web designer?
You know?
So, you know, obviously, like you say, there's a lot of balls that you're going to be having to juggle if you're going to do that direct to client support and development for. Not only have you got the technical, you need a certain level of technical skill, but also the business side of it and the marketing side, not only for your own, even if you're just I was just going to say just a freelancer. I take that back. That was a bit slightly patronizing.
Well, especially if you're a freelancer, right?
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with being a freelancer. There's loads of people that choose just to keep as an independent freelancer because of the lifestyle that they are wishing to have. So there's a lot of balls there. Do you actually think it's actually getting? I see this actually getting a lot more complicated with the change in WordPress that's coming up and the need for somebody to probably the smaller customization work is probably going to dry up because people will be able to do that themselves, or I might be wrong there because maybe this is the whole point of editors, because you've got the ability to do something doesn't mean that you should do it because you haven't.
You can.
Well, you can. So how do you see things getting more difficult for somebody trying to break into this, or do you think it's just going to change but the fundamentals are just going to remain the same?
I think I think it's not going to be as much of a change for small front-end developers, freelancers who are out there servicing clients. There are always clients that can't do any of this. And even if they could, they don't know what to put on their website. They don't know how to make an effective website. The people that put their welcome at the top and put their mission statement right on the top of the homepage. So there's always going to need to be people that are, whatever people want to call them, and facilitators of building websites. And that could even mean a developer, because just because you can do code doesn't mean you necessarily should if you're building a site for a small client who wants to, a small business, not even a tiny business, who wants to be able to update the site and keep it going themselves. Even developers don't know how to make effective sites. And so it's that thing about this, competencies across the board, like, even writing. You have to, if you're going to even hire a writer, you can't just go out and hire a writer. You have to know that the writer knows how to write for a website and knows how to write for conversion and tell the story, the brand story. So even if you're not going to be the writer, you need to know enough about what excellence is so that you can hire a writer and supervise them. So I think that with all the changes in WordPress, it's going to affect larger companies more who have been coding using a lot of, custom coding, custom fields, custom this and that. And who have very large installations, they're going to have to redo those. But I think the smaller, if you haven't been doing a lot of coding and you've been doing it with Studio Press or Beaver Builder or some of the other page builders or like that, I don't think that there's going to be as big a hiccup.
That was great. Got any questions, Kim?
I do. And this is actually teasing out something that I know about Judi, but I want the audience to know it also. Like me, Judi's had a professional career that was completely different. And because of that, she brings some really interesting things when you talk about effectiveness and the effectiveness of a WordPress site or any website. Would you share a little bit about that background, Judi, and why it allows you to really help people key in on what's effective?
Yeah, well, the secret is not so secret, but I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a PhD psychologist who practiced for many years, and then I had a software company that was the CEO of a software company and the user experience person for medical record software. So combining those two things, I've always been really fascinated with user experience and really what it takes to bottle. Like if Kim was doing your website, I'd say, Kim, obviously you can sell in person, you know what to do, you get clients, whatever. So we have to bottle what you do, who you are, what you do. We have to like synthesize that and put it on your website in a way that people going to that site have an experience of who you are, what you do, that they're in the right place and they make a connection with you, that they absolutely decide you're the person for them. And so that's where my background helps. That's my secret sauce. But I feel like I can teach other people to do that. And, versus just having a website that shows your portfolio on the front. And graphic designers you see a lot of graphic design websites that just say, oh, I'm a graphic designer and here's my portfolio. But the thing is, their portfolio all looks like everybody, unless they're very stylized, it looks the same as everybody else. So why would I pick this person versus that person? And without that story, without the personal, without the photo, without the, intro, if people, 92% of the people check you out before they ever go to your, pick up the phone, and you want to start off on the good foot. You want to be the person that they would rather work with before they even meet you. So that's what I mean by effective.
I love that. And we hear a lot in marketing and not just online marketing, just in marketing in general right now, of the power of a story and that we need to be telling our stories. So in this class that you have, you're actually teaching some of that also, not just the technical piece, but the storytelling piece.
Yeah, and people sometimes think that designers or developers think that the story is about them, when really the story is about how you help others. So the story focuses on your client, your ideal client, and you are the guide basically that's going to get them what they want. So one of our students is, so you have to have a niche, right? You have to know who you're speaking to in order to tell that story correctly. So one of the students in my recent round of the course is a horse person. And she had she was getting business. She's very talented designer. She has some coding skills. She's, is doing business anyway, but just not confident. And her website was, it looked like an about page basically. And one of the things in our course, I have people do their own websites, because as web designers and developers are terrible about taking the time to really do this for yourself. And it's hard to do it for yourself. But if you can do it for yourself, then you can do it for others. So I have them go through starting off with branding and niche. And that's a big resistance. Oh, I don't want to limit myself. And so this one woman is an equestrian. And so she designed her site to be for the equestrian community. And it is gorgeous. It tells her story. The things on her website, like her hero picture, is a picture that would speak directly to her audience because it's the leather of a saddle. And one of her clients said, I can just smell that. I can smell that through the website. And that's what we want to do, is have somebody understand when they go to her site that this is a person that understands our industry and has, already cut through everything. She'll be great to work with. And so I love that. I'm really proud of her.
Oh, that's great. We need to go for our break, folks. We'll be back in a few moments, and we'll be talking some more with Judi Knight, and we'll be talking about how she developed this course, some of the things she learned about course development, and continue the discussion also about how people struggle to nicheify and to find their target audience. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. We've had a great chat with Judi Knight. Been fascinating. So, Judi, like you mentioned in the first half of the show, you developed this course. Was it a much bigger task than you thought? And what are some of the key things you've learned about the process?
Oh, it was it was a totally, a total surprise at how much work is involved in doing the course. I first did a pilot based on my blog post, because I've been blogging for 9 years every Wednesday. And so I have like hundreds of blog posts, and I collapsed them into categories, and I had a lot of content. So the first one, I just made that up as I went along, and with 6 people, and it worked out really well. But I knew that I had to take that content and then put it into a real course format with a video, transcript, and assignment, and a quiz. And after the first pilot, which was finished right before WordCamp last year, WordCamp Atlanta, and WordCamp Atlanta is happening now. So it was a year ago. I thought it was going to take me maybe 3 months to do all of that content. And seriously, it's taken over a year. And I just actually, while I was doing the second round of the course, I was also finishing the end modules, and just finished the last one like 3 weeks ago. There are 10 modules, 5 to 10 lessons per module. And with each one, like I said, having a transcript, an assignment, and a quiz. And then we meet weekly. And I just totally underestimated the time it was going to take to do that right.
Before I put it over to Kim again, on reflection, I hear the same story quite a lot. On reflection, do you think you would have been better off aiming at a very much smaller initial course, which you could have got up and also used it as a way of promoting, and got on with your promoting and used it as a driver for your main course? Do you think that would, on reflection, might have been a better strategy?
I think that probably in my life, that's a better strategy. I was the kid that in home ec, instead of making an apron, made a suit, or the first cake I ever made was baked Alaska. So yes, absolutely, it would have been a better strategy. But I kept thinking, I can't leave this out. I can't leave that out. But yeah, it would be. And it still may be. I might divide it up into different competency areas, and then have people, be able to do it that way.
Over to you, Kim.
Thank you. So I hear you saying you meet live. So this is not a completely automated course. You've got some blended learning going on.
Yes.
What was your decision on, as opposed to, that everybody wants this automated mecca of passive income? What was your decision on making this kind of a live, probably some part coaching program almost?
Mm-hmm. I think it was because, I did this course because it's a course that I would have wanted back when I was that person. And it, the results from people signing up for courses are abysmal about finishing. And I wanted people to be able to finish it. And I think that a big part of that is connecting with a mentor. And I love that part of it. So, there's a lot of psychological parts of battling those inner voices, and keeping with your commitment, and connecting, with with the people in the course that keep people in the course. So I've had a really good track record in both of the sessions, keeping people in the course and having them finish it. And I think that in large part is because I take a stand for them. I take a stand that they're going to get this done. It's $2,500 for the session, for the course, but I say, if you can't do just the cost of doing your own, having the coaching to do your own website pays for that. Plus, you should be able to get at least 1 or 2 other clients during the time, the 4 months or so, that you can do, that you can start charging more for your websites as well. But I think it's the personal part of it that keeps people involved and attached.
I agree. And it also is what pushes that higher value. It's hard to sell an automated course for a whole lot of money because there's so many out there, and you don't get that touch. Along those lines, then, when you have them being active in the course, is that just with you, or did you do any type of teamwork as far as like forums or comments or getting them involved with each other also?
Yes, and that people really like that. We have a Slack group, and I think that's something people even want more of is, and when I get more people, when you have 6 people, both sessions had 6 active people. This last session had 8, but 2 of them didn't attend the meetings. And, I'm hoping to have bigger sessions, but the part where they meet with each other, I think they got connected with each other, and that's a big piece of it too. And then I also have my team. And so when certain topics come up, I have, them step into our meetings with us to go over things and that, to make clearer or whatever. So, it's a group effort, but I'm there most every session.
Excellent. And just a quick logistics question, and then I'll toss it back over to Jonathan. What process, because I do this also, I do the live, what process did you use to figure out what are the best times? You mentioned 2 people didn't come to the live meetings. How did you get that live meeting time down?
Well, I did, there's that little app, forget what it's called.
Doodle?
Is it Doodle? I forget which one it is. Maybe it was Doodle. I think it was Doodle, that I put out a bunch of times, and people are all over the place. I don't really think the people that didn't attend, it was because of the time. Because those people didn't use their individual sessions, because in addition to the weekly, then you can have, there's 3 30-minute individual sessions built into it with me at different points, meeting certain points. And so, obviously the 2 people that haven't been attending haven't kept up with all of the coursework either, as well as the people that attended. So yeah, it's hard to pick a time.
Wow. So you've got the automated, you've got the groups, and then you've got the private one-on-one coaching. That is a value bomb you've got there. That's fabulous. Jonathan, what do you think?
Oh, it sounds great. What kind of technologies did you decide? Obviously, WordPress was the underpinning, I would imagine. But what other technologies did you choose to use for this?
Well, I a few years ago, I had Natalie Lucier be a keynote speaker at WordCamp, and I've been following her for years, and so I used her Ambition Access Ally and her learning management system. And we built our own course on our own website for that, because it's really pretty. It allows us to really customize it and to have, it's beautiful. And it's easy to use, and it has all the bells and whistles with progress charts, progress meters and easily making quizzes and keeping in touch with people. It also has affiliate capability.
So what was the, obviously your first batch of students is always a learning curve. So what was some of the fundamental feedback that you got that was a little bit surprising?
Well, one of the people said, when I put it out there, I was pretty shocked because that I had 6 people right away say they wanted to do it. And then I closed registration because I didn't want to be on the hook for too many people when I didn't know what I was doing. So, and one person had said that it was she was excited about it because she had always wanted to work with me but didn't know how. And so that was surprising to me, that there were so many people that wanted to have this opportunity to basically learn all of this material and then kind of have me mentor them.
Oh, that's great. And you've got the course reopening in May, haven't you, for a new batch of students? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was going to do it in the fall, but I had so many people from the last time that missed it, that didn't do it for one reason or another, that they've asked to do it, to have it before the fall. So, yeah, it's going to open again in May.
Oh, and we'll have that in the show notes, folks. We'll have a link to that. I think we're going to wrap it up for the podcast part of the show. In the bonus content that follows, folks, which you'll be able to watch on the WP-Tonic website, we're going to discuss pricing with Judi and the struggles of pricing jobs for freelancers, agency owners. Pricing is always a problem, and we're going to be delving into that in the bonus content. Judi, you've been a fabulous guest so far. I've really enjoyed the discussion. How can people in general learn more about what you're up to and what you're doing in general, Judi?
Well, they can follow me at Judi Knight on Twitter or Instagram. You can see my new puppy if you.
Oh,
cute.
And also go to Newtricks.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter there. I send it out every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. With tips and tricks for growing your business with using your website or designing your website with WordPress. And also, like you said in the show notes, they can find out more about the course, going to our landing page about the course.
Oh, that's great, Judi. And Kim, how can people find out what you're up to online, Kim?
You can find all my different programs at kimshivler.com. And I will say for Judi, that newsletter does come every single Wednesday, and it is one of the few that I actually read every week. So I can recommend signing up for it.
How can you get hold of me? It's quite simple, folks. Basically, you can go to the WP-Tonic website. We've got a load of new blog content on there around building the membership sites and using learning management systems to build an online course. And got a fabulous amount of new material on the website. And you can also join us live, not only for the Wednesday show, but also the Friday show, which we have a great panel, which we do at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. And you can see that on the WP-Tonic show Facebook page. Plus, you can watch the live interview of our Wednesday shows there as well. Also, next Wednesday, we've got a fantastic guest next Wednesday. We've got rand-hendriksen from Moss joining us, the former CEO of Moss, joining us for an exclusive interview. It's going to be fantastic. He's one of my heroes of the internet, and he's just a really nice guy. So we've got that coming up. And just to finish it off, if you really want to support the show, give us a review on iTunes. It really does help the show with the rankings in iTunes, and that would be much appreciated. So we're going to wrap it up now for the podcast part of the show, but please join us on the WP-Tonic website and watch our bonus continuance of the interview around pricing with Judi. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye. So, Judi, pricing. It's a nightmare, basically. I've been doing this for a while and it's still a nightmare. Got any insights around pricing?
Yeah, I have a little system that I realized, when I kind of go back and see exactly how I do things and why it works, is that I do a free 10-minute phone call. And then to qualify somebody, because I don't go running all over the place meeting with this person and that person. Free 10-minute phone call to qualify them. If it seems like it's a good lead, I continue that a little longer to the point where I get a connection with them so that they pay for a consultation. And at that point, the paid consultation, I say, I'm going to educate you on what's involved in the website. I'm going to understand your business and your goals, and I'm going to help you with recommendations that you can apply with me or with somebody else. By the end of that, they're connected and they trust me. And they say, how much is it going to cost? And at that point is when people freeze, when it's like, do you go out to the parking lot and look at their car? I mean, how do you figure it out? And people get into real trouble with this. So I created for my students in my mastery course, I created a website cost estimator, and it goes through all the questions that you would need to ask them about what's included, and it has a price associated with each question, so that at the end of it, they know exactly what goes into making a website. Because a lot of people come in thinking, well, you're going to use a template. I'm like, well, we have to customize this for you, which they don't know what that means or what's involved. So when you go through all the different parts, they start to see, wow, there's a lot to this. And I even have questions in there like, what kind of client are you going to be? Are you easy? Do you have champagne taste and you want it like you want it? If you're easy, then it doesn't add anything to it. If I've got to pull it out of you, it adds 500. If you've got champagne taste and you want it like you want it, it adds 2,000 to the cost of a typical project. And people will go through it and say, at first they'll say, well, I have good taste, but I'm on a budget. That's one of the questions. So that only adds, so much to it. And then at the end, they'll say, that question about champagne taste, go back and select it. And they like that. They love this going through it because I ask them, how many pages, do you have your own content? Is it going to be ready to put on the site? No. Oh, so you need me to edit it? Yes. Okay. How many pages? And what, it's so they start to really understand that there's no free lunch, that everything that we do on the site has a cost. And that is really helpful because later you can go back and say, remember you didn't buy champagne taste? You didn't buy that package? Well, we're getting into champagne territory. And so it's a fun way to set boundaries and to say, oh, you know what? Remember you got one form, not 4 forms. Or, you didn't buy content and you're not coming up with your content. And so I started doing this for my students, but I used it a couple of times to test it out. And I had such a fun time with it that I do it all the time, unless it's a huge project. The huge projects are different, but the, normal small business websites in the anywhere from 5 to 10,000 range, those I use all the time with this.
Oh, I just love it. The champagne. Who doesn't like champagne, Judi?
I know.
On reflection, I use a slightly different methodology, but I still love yours. It's much more. On the smaller jobs, I just give a quote, but anything that's larger, I as a pre-qualifier, after an initial free consultation with me, is that I ask for them for paid discovery, basically, which they can utilize as a detailed proposal, which they can take to other people and get which will allow them to get a realistic quote from people, or the cost of that paid discovery is used as a as part of the cost of which is outlined in the proposal. But I do any large now. I insist on paid discovery.
I do too.
And that normally will qualify if they're realistic. They are a real client, going to be a real client or not, because a lot of people in the WordPress space, unfortunately, for understandable reasons, have very unrealistic expectation around cost, don't they?
They do, and even the people that are doing the websites have unrealistic expectations, and they forget to ask somebody who wants e-commerce, for example, well, how many items do you need me to input? You know, things like that can come back and bite you. But and if somebody wants, I've got the little pricing websites like a pro guide, and I'll put it on my Facebook page later. So if you go to Facebook to Newtricks Web Design, you'll be able to get a free download of the process plus the PDF version. But I have an automated version as well that I use that's done with Gravity Forms that is really great, because then you don't have to add it up.
Well, maybe you can also send us a link and we put that in the show notes.
Oh, yeah, I'll be glad to do that too.
Got any questions, Kim?
Question and a thought.
About champagne, Kim.
Oh, we know Kim has champagne taste. I have all my life. What I heard, though, about that checklist, I love it, because I did have a Q&A back when I did client work. I had kind of my Q&A so that you didn't end up, finishing the site, and then they said, hey, where's my shopping cart, which you didn't bid on. But they just think of that as that. But the way you described it, it sounds like you've actually got not just something that allows you to price it, but it almost becomes an accountability document between you and the client also.
It really does, and what it does then is you have sat there with the client and gone through everything they want. So by the end of it, they've agreed that their site's going to cost $6,800, and it's going to have all of these things in it. And all you have to do then is go write it up in your proposal software and push the button, and you've got a new client. That's what I love about it. And then yes, you have that. I print it up for them, send it to them, and they know what all the parts and pieces that they purchased.
I love that. And then what is your payment structure for that, as far as to get started and draws along the way? Because that catches a lot of newbies, a lot of new freelancers.
Yeah, if it's under 10,000, then they pay us half of it at the beginning and half of it at the end, as long as the end is in the time period that we specified. Because I also have a caveat saying that if we're substantially finished with our work, but you haven't finished, you're doing your content, you still owe us the final payment. And we'll finish the job when you get to it. And if they put it on hold for too long, then it goes into storage, and they have to, there's a fee for starting over. Refinishing it at that point. Otherwise, we'll finish it. And those are just the cover your behind items that people that are new to this don't know about, don't think about, or don't have a system that makes it easy for them to implement. That, I just discovered over time how to package this up and then started using it myself. You do things sometimes without really looking at exactly what you are doing. And when I went back to really see what I thought I was doing that was effective, I created this system that just anybody can use it.
Excellent. Jonathan, any questions?
Yeah, just got one more final, Judi. I also think a lot of new freelancers, new people in the web design, web development, have a problem with saying no. They're worried about saying no. Would you like to comment on that and give some reflection?
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I even have trouble because, I just want to, I'm an artist and I want it to be right, and I want the person to be happy with it. But I think communication all along the way about where we are in the process and whether it's working and whether we're spending too much time on one area that it's going to cause a problem later, then that is better than winding up at the 9th hour telling the person, this has just been way too long, and you're going to have to pay me more money then, or I can't do that for you. That's a problem. So it really takes ongoing communication. And I think a lot of people find that difficult, just to remember all they have to do is talk to their client. And
on reflection on with my own interaction with clients, I would say the ones that have there's been some difficulty, I would say the major bulk of them has been my responsibility. And I say my responsibility because on reflection, there's been a problem with the actual process of onboarding and dealing with expectation. I needed my champagne list, didn't I? There's been a couple where that hasn't been the issue. It's been really a client that's just been taking.
Oh yeah, but
they're rare though. Actually, normally it's signposting onboarding problem.
But do you think? I think that one of the places that hangs me up is that somebody starts asking for something that's really not in the contract because I'm a good person and a nice person. I do it because I think that's going to be the last of it, right. And that's only the first one. Yes. And if you don't catch that at the beginning, it's like you think, okay, I'm going to do this and then it'll be okay. No, it's going to go that way the whole time, and you're going to end up being resentful. So,
and the other thing that catches out a lot of beginners is not doing paid discovery on larger projects and really then having a real scope of work, because without, with smaller jobs, that's not necessary. That could be based on your experience, but any medium to large project without a detailed discovery process and a scope of work, you're really signing on to a possible death march, aren't you?
Absolutely. That paid discovery is essential. And yeah, it is absolutely essential. We just finished doing one for a client, and they had, I called it a site audit and discovery, and unaware to me, they had a bad connotation about site audits because they had gone to a couple of agencies, larger agencies, and everybody says they want a paid site audit. And they came back with a complete strategy that didn't have anything to do with what the client actually wanted. And when I'm talking about the site, of the discovery, the site audit and the discovery, it was really part of the process was really understanding exactly what they needed and wanted, so that when I gave them the results, it felt like a match. And so they were very happy that it wasn't like another experience of the, getting something that was kind of an off-the-shelf solution rather than a personalized solution. So.
I think we'll wrap it up now, Judi. You've been very generous with your time. I think it's been a fantastic discussion. We've covered a lot of territory in this interview, the podcast, plus this bonus content. You've been a champ. I think we've given some real great insights to a lot of our listeners and viewers. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I was so excited to be on the show.
Right, we're going to end it now, folks. Join us next week where we're going to have somebody doing something interesting with WordPress. We'll be back soon, folks. Bye.